Hello, theme park enthusiasts and horror fans, and welcome back to my Warner Brothers Studios park, and specifically to my Welcome to Derry section. So, as I said in the last video, we only have a few more episodes left here because I do want to finish this up before Planet Coaster 2 comes out. So, today's goal is twofold. The first one's a very small goal. Basically, I'm going to work over here and I'm going to end off this street because as of right now, I don't think I'm going to be building the rest of this park. So we're just going to put an under construction sign here to show that at some point in the future that might be coming soon or something of that nature. Then we're going to turn to the real work for the day, which is over in this section of the park. We're going to put in the last ride for the park, which is going to be a dark ride. This dark ride is going to cover basically the notes that Mike Hamlin wrote for Stephen King's It. And with that, he discusses the history of Derry and some of the terrible things that happened in Derry. So this is going to be the final scene of that dark ride, which is the explosion of the Kitchener Ironworks. We're going to have the dark ride come right across in front here, probably have the station be right about over here. Then we're going to have two other scenes to the ride though as well, which is going to be the shooting of the Bradley gang, where the citizens of Derry murdered the gang. And then we are going to have the burning of the Black Spot. So my plan for it is we're going to have the ride sort of snake back and forth through this area and then cover this this final scene here. So we'll see how that works out. I'll sort of adjust it as need be in the plan, but that is the goal for this episode. I want to get this ride entirely done, which means creating both of these two scenes and making the ride functional so that we basically have everything set so that in the last episode, the last construction episode, we're really just building in the town around these areas. So with that in mind, let me get to work and let's see how it turns out. Alright, so this has been a long episode here. Don't know how long it'll be when I edit the video. And I'm trying to make sure I cover everything that I did do in this episode. So, first thing was, we went ahead and sort of completed the street here. So as I said, as of right now, my plan is to finish this Welcome to Derry area, and because of the fact that Planet Coaster 2 is coming out, I am going to most likely leave off on this park at that point. I did have plans for a Meg themed area over here and other areas out here, but with the new game coming out, I don't think that's going to happen. Unless somehow you're able to bring in parks to the new game and such, which I will be putting this one on the workshop once we complete all the buildings and such over here. So, if that's the case, then without a question, I will continue this park and hopefully complete all the areas and make it into one big park. I will say, as of right now, saving has gotten to be where the computer does lag some because it does take a lot for the game to save at this point. So I don't know how well that would go with the addition of other areas and such. I'm hoping it's going to stay good enough so that I can show the good on rides for all of these rides once we get this area done. So I went ahead and finished off the street here to make it look reasonable, I think. And then the big project for this week, as I said, was going to be putting in this dark ride here. Now, right now, what I went ahead and did is the tunnel areas basically get you from one scene to the next. And it has the three main scenes that come from Mike Hamlin's narrative that he writes in Stephen King's It. So the first scene here we have is the shootout with the Bradley gang. I did have to use the assets that are in the game, so they're sort of Western cowboys instead of what I would prefer having in more gangster looking characters. And I do wish I could have some citizens there instead of just police officers shooting at them. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. I mean, basically this was a slaughter that went on here. And so I'm happy to say that, I think it sort of encapsulates that. This guy flies away like he's been shot by a shotgun. We have the cars having ricochets come off them and such. So I'm pretty pleased with how that came out overall. Then from there, we go over to the next scene, which is the fire at the black spot. So I've created some different soldiers here that are from the company. This was an all-black company in the military, and so there's racial issues and such that go on, and that is the reason for the fire here. This was sort of their club that they had, and some of the Legion of White Decency, as the book says, came in and lit the place on fire in a horrible way. So with that, I wanted to encapsulate that. Then one of the characters that Mike knows well, or Mike's father knew well, rams a truck into the building to create a new opening for people to escape through. Because as it was, the door is shut because the door actually opens inward. So the people all pushed against it, they couldn't get out. And then we have the one window over here where Mike's dad and the other people were able to escape from before the fire got too bad. Then we have the giant bird here. Now this is a different one than I put in the other ride because I figured, you know what, let's diversify a little bit. This one's a flying one, which works better for what I needed here because Mike's dad says how he saw a giant bird when he was there at the fire. It picks up one of the people in the white robes and carries him off. So I didn't want to try to put all that in. There also should be balloons that are holding it up, but from the angle that you're going to be going into this ride, you would not see that anyways. And I was considering piece count, which is also why I deleted all of the wings that stuck outside of the building, because again, piece count wise, it just wasn't going to be very useful for the game, and it was going to make it lag more. So the bird fits, it's what's supposed to be there. And then the final thing we have, which we sort of discussed in the last episode in the beginning here of this episode, is the fire at the ironworks. So that's all in there now. We have the explosions that go off and such, and you'll be able to see that. I love the fact that the building has a dual use to it, and it was a bit odd putting a giant black box around the building, but the fact of the matter is that building is a set. It isn't actually going to be real in that way. So with that, I had to box off the entirety of the area. Yes, some things stick through and stuff, which is perfectly fine. Sort of didn't want that little line of light coming in there. So I might have to try to adjust that, but that is easier said than done because these pieces don't fit to a grid. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to put buildings all around these black boxes. So that's going to be the next episode. We're going to do those. We've got to put in the entrance for this particular ride. But all this area is going to get boxed off. The backs of them are going to be basically sort of the backs of a movie set. So they're going to be very basic, probably just concrete in color, something very simple, and along with the sides that you cannot see if you're walking along the streets and such. So like this side over here would be all concrete, and all the backs will be concrete. But the fronts will all be faced to be buildings in Derry. I know I'm going to use the city center over here by the Paul Bunyan statue. We're going to have the Aladdin Theater is going to be over here. We're going to have the Jade of the Orient restaurant is going to be over here. And then we're going to just have some buildings that would feel like they fit into the town properly. And so that's what I'm going to be doing in the next episode, is getting all of that put in place, so that way the town really is filled out and sort of takes the final shape that it's going to have. These black boxes are there so that way when you're on the ride, you're seeing it from the interior. You don't really get to see out into the real world. And I don't want you seeing just, beams or something like that, like you could on some cheaper dark rides. I want it to be where all you're seeing is what you're supposed to see on the rides. So hopefully the black boxes will achieve that. So yeah, next week, that's what I'm going to be having in the video, is we're going to basically skin out this whole town. And then, as I said, a few hours after that video comes out, I will release a final video for this series where we ride the major rides of this area. The coaster over here, the dark ride here, the Wild Mouse here, and the final ride being the main log ride that I've put into the park. And I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. I hope that you've enjoyed the series. If you have, please go ahead and click that like button. If you've not already, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so that you're aware when I produce new videos in the future. Thank you, and I hope to see you back for more of Planet Coaster and for Welcome to Derry.